Um, Hello, Richard Vogel. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer our question and to take this interview here. We are in Lyon. We are at the World Cup in Equita Lyon. We're very, very happy to have you on the podcast. It's been some months that we were talking to you, asking you to record this interview. Actually, I think we started to contact you beginning of the year when you were at WEF. So, Richard, you're a German rider. You're 27 years
Yes.
old this year. You've been rather discreet until now, but for the past few years, past few months and years, your name has been getting a lot of attention. Maybe it all started to be very, very big at Geneva last year when you won. You It was an incredible performance last year when you won the Grand Prix, the Rolex Grand Prix, part of the Grand Slam in Geneva. You were in the stands that day, of course, and we started watching you galloping, jumping 1, 2, 3, and it was completely crazy. Like the public and all the people in the arena went completely crazy. And since that day, it's been like one conclusion: this horse and this couple are absolutely supersonic. We have seen you jump the warm-up also at the Olympics because we were there. It was insane. Like the way you jumped the warm-up was insane, and the rest of the classes, of course. What we want to know is, what's your story? How did you build? How have you built this career? Where did you start? Where do you come from? What's your personal story? Can you start by telling us who you are and where do you come from?
Yeah, thanks for having me at first here and for the nice introduction. Yeah, where do I come from? I was born in south of Germany in a small village called Binswangen. It's not an area that is very famous for riding, I must say. Normally, the horse sport is more north of Germany. But in the past years, also riding in the south gets bigger and bigger. And I was lucky enough to be born in kind of a horse family. My grandpa always bred horses. My uncle rides also as a professional. And my mom was a very passionate rider. And yeah, so my mom's side of the family was very much into horses. My dad's side of the family, not at all. But yeah, the one part of the family, I had a lot of access to the horses, and they were always around, and I always liked to be around them, and that's how it all started. They were just there. I was very lucky, and I never experienced to live without horses.
But at what age, what time did you start thinking that you might pursue a career into riding, into being a rider?
So yeah, I started very little and did some small shows and so on. Obviously went to school, and then in the school holidays, I always went with my uncle, Richard Grom is his name, to Pfungstadt, to the old farm of Dietmar Gugler. And he worked for Sevil Sabancı, or still does work for Sevil Sabancı, a Turkish lady that he helps and trains her. And yeah, I was lucky to be able to go with him to see everything in my school holidays and to see how they work with the horses. And there I also got to know David Will, my business partner. So when I saw David and his colleagues, Laurens Buhl, for example, is one of them, a good friend of mine, it was very inspiring for me. I looked up to them, how they did it. They were able to do their passion, their hobby, as their job. So I thought that's something very amazing, and from that on, it was in my head that I want to do the same. And it was a big goal to become a professional. And when I turned 17, I got very extreme about it, and I actually stopped school 1 year before I should have ended school. And and started as a rider. Yeah, took my first job.
And Richard, at 19, you were recruited by Ludger Berbom to join in stables. Can you tell us about your experience with the Kaiser and what you learned out of it? Do you think it was a major step in building your career?
Yeah, exactly. So I took my first job with 17. Again, there I got very lucky in the stable. I got to stable from family Herbert, who became kind of my second family. So I had a very good 2 years there. And after 2 years and ending my apprenticeship there, I decided also together with my uncle that I had a super job there, but I was still young and I wanted to see something different. And then I got the opportunity to go to Ludger Beerbaum, which was an amazing opportunity and chance for me. I started there as a home rider for Philipp Weishaupt, and but it was just super cool to see all those people and great riders, in their daily work at home. Also, everything around the riding, how they managed the horses, also with the farrier, with the vet, and so on. The show schedule. It was actually a new world for me, because the job I had before, we only did young horses, 4, 5, 6 years old horses. We were trying, to develop them and bring them up. And every now and then we had a horse, an older horse, to jump on national level, but never really on FEI level. So it was quite a new world, and I learned so much there. For sure, it was a big change for my career. Yes, absolutely.
So just like Henrik or Christian Kukuk, the gold individual show jumping champion in Paris, you took some of your first steps to the high level along with Ludger. Why is Ludger such a key figure of international sport for you? What makes him so significant in this sport?
I think if you look in all the history of our sport, there's not many people that were in the top of the sport for that long amount of time, and always very consistent with very, very multiple kind of horses and different kind of horses. So for sure there needs to be a good system behind that, and a lot of more things. So I was very curious to experience all of that. And when I was there, it was becoming very clear very quickly that behind all this success there's a lot of work, and I think this he really gives on to his students, that if you want to get somewhere, you have to be clear of a way how to get there, and then work hard for it, and surround yourself with good people also. But I think he's just a good wiser for many things. Yeah.
Is this what you're trying to build now? To have a long-lasting career, a system that allows you to stay on top of the sport for years and years and years? And if so, I believe so, what are you trying to do? What are the steps that you're trying to reach and to build to create this incredible career?
Obviously, we always aim high and aim big, but as you said a little bit in the introduction, in the past 2-3 years, everything actually went quite quick. A lot of my success I have to actually thank to United Touch. Without him, I for sure wouldn't be here. And then many people like United's owner. Also around that, there's the family Tracy, Veronica and Molly Tracy, that were super to me for many years. They owned horses for me. Veronica trained with us. Through her, I got access to America. We were in Mexico together. We were in the States together, in Florida. So I got to know many people. So all of those things play a role, obviously, in where you get in your life or in your career, and that's what we also, besides our riding, I think what's important for our riders, or for us as riders, what we have to focus on. I think nowadays that's probably the biggest change, if you compare the sport to 30, 50 years ago. Nowadays, I would say there's multiple very, very good riders, and the factor that separates them, because there are so many good riders, is the horses, and how good your relationship with the horses is. So I think for sure you have to work a lot on your riding, and this we are doing every day, and that's our passion and our drive also, and we try to get the relationship with our horses always better and better. Sometimes we get a horse and it takes a year to actually have a good relationship. Sometimes it goes quicker. That's one little thing that makes our sport so exciting. We work together with a living animal. Nothing is really, you can't really predict the future so much. It's not a machine. But I think one also very important part, if you want to build a future in the sport, is to surround yourself with good people, to have good people in your background, not just in your background, but also next to you in your team. The people at home, my show groom, my vet, my farrier, all of those people, and then of course also the owners and the breeders that we partner with. Also, I hope I have United for many more years, but already think ahead to build up some 4, 5, 6 years old, that we also have horses for the future that we can build on. So I think that's important if you want to have a long time success.
Can you tell us a little bit, can you dive into the story of United Touch? Because this horse is absolutely incredible, and the story you're writing at the moment with him is shaping the whole career that you're going to have, your whole future, and it has a beginning. So can you maybe just tell the story of this horse?
Yeah. As you say, he's amazing. His first big outing, I would say, was as a 5 years old. He got FI's German Young Horse Champion. That was already outstanding. A lot of people had their attention on him there already.
Were you already riding him?
No.
Okay. After.
He was with Henrik Dove at the time, United's breeder, Julius Peter Sinak, and his owner also. He always has horses with Henrik Dove. They have a long time relationship. Always Henrik, builds up the young horses for him quite successfully. Many good horses that came out of Julius breeding. And I think what's also very spectacular is Julius, he bred not just United's dam himself, but also United's sire himself. So it's not just that he bred this horse himself, but he also bred the dam and the sire, mom and dad of United. So I think that's something that probably doesn't exist another time in this world, for sure not for such a good horse, such a special horse. Anyways, Henrik was riding him there, Henrik Dove, and it was outstanding already. You could really see his potential. And then the horse went to Willem Greve. He had him as a 6 and 7 years old, and built him up, did some young horse classes, did a very good job with him, got him a bit more mature. He kind of became an adult United, and from Willem Greve he went to Bad Bless, who actually took him to the first bigger shows. He jumped with United already, or United jumped with Bart already in Rome and in Aachen and on shows like this. So when I got him, he was already kind of familiar with those arenas. But yeah, at one point, Julius, which I didn't really know before, or who I didn't really know before, Julius Peter Sinak, his owner and breeder, called us and asked if he, can have a cooperation with us or a partnership and bring us some horses. And one of the horses was United. And yeah, we were obviously very glad and happy to get him into our stable. And I have to say, actually, in the beginning, Julius thought his dream match would have actually been United with Sophie, my girlfriend, Sophie Hinners. So actually he was on her list at first, but very quickly actually we saw in the first few days already that he's too much horse for her, and it's going to be difficult for her to get the relationship that luckily I was able to get with him now. And so after a couple of days we spoke again and we said, I think it makes more sense if I try to ride him, and if I try to get a bond with him. And then I can still think of my first time jumping him. It was outstanding. I had an unbelievable feeling. I never experienced a horse with that much scope and that much power. For sure everything wasn't perfect yet, but just the abilities he has to feel that the first time was something mind-blowing. And I remember I rode back into the stable and I said to Felicia, my groom, I said, when I'm not there, because obviously David and me and Sophie, we work very tight together, so sometimes when I'm at the show or something, David would help and flat or ride a horse for me or jump it, whatever. But I said to her, when I'm not there, you can ride him or you longe him, but David should not sit on the horse, because I thought if he realizes how a good horse he is, then he wants to have him. So we try to keep it a little bit secret the first week how good he is, and then I must say from the first shows on it went pretty good for sure. Not only perfect rounds, but the first show we did was the Bundeschampionat in Warendorf, where he got second in the young horse final for the 5 years old. So we went back to the same show when he was 9 and jumped the Grand Prix for older horses there, a 2-star Grand Prix on national level though. But he could win that Grand Prix. So actually from the first show on, it was going very well.
When he won the World Cup at the Stuttgart German Meisters in 2022, Michel Robert, our French maestro, says that he has rarely seen a horse of his stature. He said that he was the new Shutterfly. Do you feel lucky to have this horse in your stable?
Yeah, absolutely. Lucky is not even enough to describe it. As I said, potential he has and abilities is truly outstanding. For sure in the beginning and still now it is also a challenge and also a bit of pressure, because everyone can see how unbelievable he is.
All the community is agreed to say that this horse is outstanding.
Exactly. So also, there's enough pressure on to perform well and to do good results if you have a horse like him. But yeah, I'm also I must say very proud how quick and where we got to, because in the beginning, even when we won that National Grand Prix, there were still a lot of people, also good friends of us, that were doubting it a little bit and said, with such a big stride, if the courses get really technical or the time allowed gets short,
That's true.
You will not make the time allowed, or you will, if the combinations are short indoors or something, it'll be too short for him. He won't be able to shorten the stride in the doubles that much. So there were, especially in the beginning, quite a few challenges we had to face. But that also just shows that he's not just very scopy and has a super big stride, but also a great attitude to work with, and he really wants to improve, and he had to improve a lot his canter and his body, which only was possible because he wants to do it always good. You know, he wants to do the sport. He's very motivated for that, and he wants to improve. He's always willing to work. So I think that was actually the main important key that allowed us to be that successful in those big classes.
Have you been working with someone for the flat work part, for the dressage part?
Not someone like on very frequently. Every now and then, I try to get tips from people. I'm also convinced that every rider can almost learn the most from a bit, observing his colleagues and other riders. And this I like to do a lot when I'm on the show and I'm not so busy. I like to watch the warm up or in the morning watch how my colleagues flat their horses and get a bit inspiration and observe them a little bit. What in my opinion they do good, what I can improve, what can I steal it a little bit with my eyes. So in that way, I try to always learn something, and then for sure I always remember a little bit back at the time when I was at Ludgers. We had a dressage trainer coming there, and actually my biggest weakness for sure was the dressage work.
But you're German, you should be good.
Yeah, I should be, but I was never, and I'm still probably not the best. For sure not the best, but probably not as good as I should be, I have to admit. But this comes a little bit from my childhood. I really didn't want to do dressage. I was more a wild kid, exactly, and I wanted to jump. Also, the style classes were never such my thing. I always want to go against the clock. So therefore I thought you don't need the dressage. I anyways don't want to wait in the course or add. I anyways want to go forward. So you don't need to have the last rideability, which is obviously not right and not true. But latest when I got to Ludgers, I had to improve that a lot, and I was lucky to also there work together with a trainer, dressage trainer, and that helped me a lot, tremendously actually, until today also.
So Richard, just to have a step back in your career, at just 21 years old, you left Ludgers stables and to set up your own business. Why, at the age of 21, did you decide to set up in your own business, in your own stables? What motivated you?
There were actually a few different things. I was always quite interested in also the business side of our sport, not just to do the sport, but also to. I think it's pretty amazing how you can combine both with each other to do sport, but also business. I was very interested in that always, and from early age on, I always liked to travel around and try horses and buy some horses and develop them, make them better. And then I always find it also very exciting to find the right match for that horse, to find the right rider that matches with the horse, and then follow obviously the horse with the new rider. That's something I always like to do. But in Ludgers, my job was only to ride, so I had nothing to do with that part really. So I missed it a little bit there, and then also when I was at Ludgers, I learned a lot of things, and it was brilliant. 2 years, and I have to say I never got. It's not that I started there as a show rider or that they offered me some crazy opportunities or like coming into it. But for the job I took, I started as a home rider. I time I was there, I got great opportunities, and I was allowed to show, and started with national shows and jumped then up to 2 and 3 star level. I did the U25 class, and it's in Aachen. That was all some super experiences. But then I had a few conversations with Ludger, because I'm not the most patient person. And I said, Ludger, what do you think realistically? Is there, in your stable, is there a chance for me to grow bigger in the sport? And if yes, what do you think, how many years does that take? And he said, I think there is the chance, but right now we have Philipp Weishaupt, Christian Kuckuck, and he himself did the sport also more active at the time. So we have to focus to get, already good horses for those 3 riders is already not too easy. And then for sure we will always have horses for 2 and 3 star level for you, but I can't promise you much more for the moment. And it's also hard to tell in what kind of period time that could change. So then, I was thinking a little bit back and forth, but my conclusion was a little bit that I had nothing to lose really. I was still young enough, and I could always come back to Ludger. So yeah, I said I'm young enough. I try to start my own business. If it goes well, good. If not, it was probably a good experience too. I learned something out of it, and I can still go back and have my job there, or search for another job in another stable. So I saw more the chance of achieving something than the chance of losing something, actually.
When you decided to settle, is there anything you wish you had known before? Is there any mistake you have done that you could have avoided by being more experienced or by having more, insight from other riders?
I believe that failing and making mistakes is actually part of getting the experience. And if you don't make them yourself, if you have someone that tells you, listen, I think this is a bad idea, don't do this, I did it before, try to do it that way, it's still not the same effect, at least not for me. I'm very stubborn. So when I left school 1 year too early, everyone told me, listen, don't do this, and they were all right. I don't want to sit here and say they were wrong, because so far I didn't need to have a better graduation in school or anything. Maybe that still changes at one point, but so far I didn't miss out that I was not 1 year longer in school. So far it went okay for me, but so they were all right, but I was convinced that this is what I want to do and what I have to do. So I just did it. And I think if you just listen to advisors always, which is for sure great, and you should always respect that, but you still don't know if it would have maybe worked out for you. If I would have listened to that and I stayed one more year, probably everything would have gone a bit a different direction. I would have started a year later. Maybe the job at Ludger's would have never gotten available for me a year later. Who knows how everything would have went, but then you would always think back and think, maybe I should have started to try to be a professional a little bit earlier, and you have more regrets, I would say, and think back. And I believe if you in life risk something, for sure you can also lose and fail, but if it's within reasonable ranges, you can always calculate what is there to lose, what happens if I fail, and if that doesn't really change your life totally, I think then often it's worth to risk something in order to get something out better. And even if you just realize, okay, there was a mistake, but then you learn way more out of the mistake you did yourself than if someone was advising you and you didn't do the mistake because someone told you to not do it, you know.
So, since the beginning of the conversation, you have said that you are stubborn. You've said that you are not patient. You've said that you're wild. I'm just beginning to wonder what makes you a good rider.
Yeah, over the years, for sure, the horses did. I think that's something very important to be able to listen into your horse, and I must say, for me, it was very important, and I could only give this advice to all the young riders out there. For me, it was important and helped me a lot to develop young horses, because they're very raw, you know, and for them it's a much bigger effect, and things can go wrong more quickly if you step them up too soon, or if you're not patient, and if you try to rush too much. That's affecting them almost more than the older horses. And I believe that those young horses, they can almost teach you more than an old horse can teach you already. But in general, even doesn't actually matter so much. A young horse and an older horse, they're great teachers to us. For me, one of the biggest things was to be patient, and I learned to be more patient with the horses over the years, for sure. In life outside of horses, I'm still not the most patient person, but yeah, for sure, actually the best trainers and the best advisors in my life were the horses, I have to say.
But maybe you have another quality, Richard. We saw you at the EGRC conference last year in Geneva. You were present and really committed to defend the riders' positions. So I have two questions about that. On one hand, just like Steve Gerda, for instance, do you think it's important, and do you think you have the soul of a spokesman for your sport?
This I don't know. At first, I always struggle a little bit with my language. Sorry about that also.
No, it's okay.
And then you know, I think probably no one gets born and is ready for a position like this, but I really don't think that I'm talented in something like this. Maybe it develops over a couple of years, but yeah, I would highly doubt that, actually.
But are you trying to, like, to speak, to stand up, you know, to defend your sport?
Absolutely. I'm in the International Riders Committee, or International Rider Jumping Club.
Yeah.
I think it's important to stand up and, you know, do something, present your opinion, stand up also for the opinion for other riders. If we just sit there and complain about things, we cannot expect anything to be better. And we have an amazing sport, and the future, I think, in our sport is for sure there, and we will have a very long future. But there's also challenges we will have to face in our future, in our near future already, also for our sport, and those challenges, you know, have to be faced from someone. If we all just sit there and think, yeah, someone else can do that, as I said, we're not allowed to complain if in a few years our sport changed tremendously. So
or disappear from the Olympics.
Or something like this, exactly. That would obviously be worst case or not something very bad. But all those scenarios are not very, very unrealistic, and things we have to face. So yeah, we have to stand up and promote our sport and show the people out there how amazing it actually is, and also I think it's very important for people that are not horse people to understand how much our horses love to do the sport, and that we also take away from them if we you know go anything backwards kind of in the sport, or go in a different direction.
There's one specific topic that was discussed last year at the conference. This is the fact that about the ranking points, and that is absolutely important for riders to be qualified for Grand Prix, for competition, for championships. When you ride the Nations Cup or when you ride a Global Champions Tour, you're getting the same amount of points, and riders will be either confirming this system or defending the fact that if you ride for your country, if you ride Nations Cup, it should be able to give you more points. What do you think about this decreasing interest from riders into the Nations Cup, and what do you think should be done to help get the Nations Cup back to shining and to being very interesting and to be attractive?
I'm a big fan of Nations Cups and of championships, obviously too. I think those types of shows and classes, they have a huge history in our sport, and I think it should always be a goal to keep those classes very, very high and very important in our sport too. I think it's a very complicated topic, and for sure we could talk hours about it and discuss about it, because there's also a few different views and points to see it. But to make Nations Cups interesting and important, there's a few tools you can use, obviously. I think no one really disagrees that it's a very traditional format, and whether you have 4 people, 3 people, I mean, also that the format maybe can have a revolution. All of this can be discussed, but that the Nations Cup should always be a very important class in our sport. I think no one can doubt that or wants to doubt that. You should always also compare the level of a Nations Cup to other classes, and let's say you want to compare it straight to the global tour, then you have to put the level in comparison and then adopt the level of points you want to give for Nations Cups.
Richard, we are in Lyon at the World Cup in November, and this summer you participate to your first Olympic Games in Paris. After that, you won the Nation Cup final in Barcelona. A few weeks after all this championship, all this performance, how are you? What is your feeling?
I'm good. We feel good. Paris, I must say, was a amazing experience, but we weren't happy with our performance. Especially, I wasn't happy with my performance. United actually was in very good shape and jumped very good, but a few things that I did not do precise enough and well enough. That for sure on this level, very small mistakes and small things have a big reaction straight away. But we have to accept that. And as I said earlier on, I'm a big believer that mistakes, doing mistakes and also failures are part of the process, part of getting the experience, and actually probably the most important part of improving and getting better. So I don't want to say we're happy that we made mistakes at the Olympics. For sure, we were hoping for better Olympics. But we accepted that, and we tried to learn out of it, and for sure made us happy that Barcelona, another very, very important event for us, went already better. We drove there as defending Nations Cup final winner, and it was obviously amazing, and very cool experience to be able to defend that title. United jumped 2 super rounds. I was happy that I could ride him better than in Paris, That made us feel that we learned a little bit out of Paris. Yeah.
If there's one common thing that all the riders we have met and discussed with have told us, is that the Olympics is completely unique. It's nothing like another competition. So what will be different for you? What will you operate differently when you will be in Los Angeles? What are the lessons that you take out of Paris? How will you process the mistakes that you've done?
So yeah, I mean, there's a few different things that happened, but I think the main key is, even though it's a extraordinary show, it's the most important show, not just of the year, but of the last or next 4 years. But still, you have to kind of prepare as if it's one of many other shows that you go to and you want to do well, because I think the reason why we got selected for Paris is because we did well up front, and we did well in the selections and in the Nations Cup ahead towards Paris on the road there. So with those performances, we got selected, and the goal is more to repeat those performances and do the preparation similar to the preparations you do to qualify for Paris and to get selected, and not try to change too much ahead of Paris. And I was aware of that also beforehand. It's almost a bit common sense, but still, you start to. It's also a bit a mindset thing, You start to think, oh, but this is a very special show. You already start to think, oh, maybe I should flat him a little bit longer. Maybe I have to have him extra fit. And for example, I believe that I did a mistake. I was focused too much on having him super, super, super fit, and actually he wasn't maybe at 100% because I almost did too much, and afterwards, even until this point here, when we arrived here, he was way too fresh actually, which is great. That's a easy problem to solve. I just have him out enough. Felicia goes on a handwalk often a day. I rode him twice a day. On Friday and on Saturday, so you can take the freshness out, no problem. But once you get to the show and he's almost a little bit tired because you did too much in advance of it, that's hard to get the body. You almost need a holiday before you go into it to get the body refreshing, So not tremendously wrong, but that was a small mistake that I believe I did.
Wrong enough.
And he could have been a little bit fresher, which he is now, or which he was in Barcelona also, but unfortunately not there. And yeah, then a few things about my riding that I also need to consider and improve, but. That's obviously also things that every course is different. That is very, very small, or that is reactions in a very small amount of time, that you have to just react during the ride in the course. This I believe is also part of getting experience that you can rely on, and then more experience you have, then more you can, find the right reaction and the right answer to whatever challenges you during the course quicker, I believe.
Have you done any mental preparation before Paris?
To be honest, not really, no. I'm luckily mentally quite okay, I would say, quite stable, strong. I have no problem handling pressure actually, but yeah, also this is for sure something to look into. Just because I don't have a big problem doesn't mean that I cannot improve it. So if you want to get better, for sure you have to turn around every stone a little bit to see is there still some space for improvement. And yes, I'm lucky to naturally be able to handle pressure well and function well in situations where there is pressure on. And when you go into a jump off and you think this time is almost impossible to beat, there's always something in me that tells me, but you can find a way. And then in this moment, I still believe in me, and I can function well. But still, as I said, for sure it's worth looking into it if we can still also in that way improve some things.
I'm not sure, Richard, but I think I see that you are 10 on the ranking list. So you will ride your first top 10 in Geneva this year or not? Not
maybe,
sure.
Maybe because the next ranking will count.
Okay.
So it really depends if I'm tomorrow or Tuesday. So it really depends on the next ranking that comes out. If I'm still in top 10, yes, I will, and it would be kind of a dream come true. And if not, we keep on working and try to do it next year.
So just for ending this conversation, we want to ask you some short questions. So which horse on the current circuit would you like to ride?
United Touch.
Ok. Non, attends, il y en a une que je voulais poser.
Yes. What's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Steal with your eyes. Watch your colleagues. I think you can learn, especially in riding, you can learn a lot if you watch your colleagues, partners, friends, concurrents, how they do it, how they ride their type of horse, and get some inspiration.
You know who told us about that? The first one, Ken Farrington, about the importance of being next to the warm-up arena watching.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Hopefully here, giving an interview with you.
Oh, nice. Second one. Nice. All right. Well, Richard, thank you very much. Thank you for the time you have given us. We wish you the best tomorrow in the Grand Prix, and we will be looking forward to seeing you in the top 10 in the next ranking, to see you at Geneva.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.